Dub ladies, my name is Chance, and welcome to the custom card review. So, in this custom card reviews, I'm going to go over the updated version of Dark Blades. So, the Dark Blade archetype has multiple things going. Like, when it's summoning conditions, stuff like she's the main card of this archetype, because once she's normal summon, you can tribute her to bring out like the student, and then the student brings out the master after tribute that. But so then the spell cards, So let's begin with the one that starts it. The Master's Daughter. She's a light level 4 warrior effect monster. If this card is normal summon, you can tribute her to the graveyard. Normal summon one Dark Blade monster. Insert from anywhere except this card to your field in attack mode. If it does, inflict 500 damage to your opponent's life points for each level this card has. She basically inflicts 2,000 points of damage. 2,000 points of damage to your opponent's life points. If this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle this card into the deck. Add one equip spell card from anywhere to your hand. If it does, shuffle one random card from your opponent's hand or field into the deck. And yeah. So then now basically, if you search her out, you can go down 2 different paths. There's a student one. I know that he is Gulthar from 7 Deadly Sins, and usually he doesn't have a blade. But in this archetype, he is. So you can tribute him to special summon a monster, like basically the upgraded version from the Master's Daughter, to becoming the student, and then the student will go into one that will be after this. So, special summon one and Dark Blade a monster from anywhere from your deck or hand to the field in attack mode. But its attack points become double the attack points. So if this card, it's only treated as a normal summon, not the special summon. So for this one, the other one was the same thing. So but for this one, if this card inflicts damage to your opponent's life points, you can select select one of these effects or following effects for once per turn and activate it. So yeah, you can let your opponent discard one card from their hand to the graveyard. This card gains 1,000 attack points. Or the third, final one, it can add one Dark Blade card from anywhere to your hand. And then shovel this, or if this card is sent to the grave, you can shovel this card into the deck and inflict 3,000 attack or damage to your opponent's life points. So then the card that this card probably could search out is not this one, but there's that one and this one and this one. So he could go 3 ways with it. So the Master Girl, let's go over her. If this card is special summoned, you can add 1 equipped spell card from your deck or graveyard or battle zone or hand. Equip it to this card. Then if you do, inflict 1,500 damage to your opponent's life points for each spell card from the field by this effect. If this card inflicts damage to your opponent's life points, you can select 1 card or the effects and activate it. Draw 2 cards from the top of your deck. Return all cards from your opponent's field into the deck. And then, the number 3 would be this card gains 1,000 attack points. And then the 4th and final one is you gain life points. So basically, you can make your monster super broken, like attack points. And then this one is, if this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle this card into the deck, special summon 1 Dark Blade monster from anywhere, or from your deck or hand or graveyard, except this card, to your field in attack mode. But its attack points become double the attack points. This card cannot be engaged by card effects and cannot be chained by card effects. So basically, its first one, the adds equip spell, you can add all these ones that have equipped ones, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Now the new monsters that were introduced. So the 4 sword styles. This card is a warrior, dark, effect monster. If this card is normal or special summon, you can select 4 equipped spell cards from anywhere. Equip them to this card. If you do, this card gains 200 attack and defense, attack points for each equipped spell cards by this effect. Once per turn, during either player's turn, this card loses 1,000 attack and defense for normal summon 1 monster once per turn from anywhere to your field in attack mode. But if his card is attack points reach 0, destroy this card to the graveyard. And then you draw 3 cards from the top of your deck to your hand. So, and then if this card is, and plus it says for each of the spell cards that from your graveyard by this effect, you basically draw it's actually 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 cards. Right? Let me see. If this card is... and then draw 3 cards from the top of your deck to your hand for each spell card from the graveyard by this effect. So basically you draw 12 cards right off the bat. And then if this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle this card into the deck. Both players gain 2,000 life points for each level this card has. So basically 800. That's pretty insane, I know. So yeah. Next new monster is of today. You might seen this image, this one right here from my What If series. And it is now this one is a whole different one. So this is Ben, the Dragon Man of the Dark Blade. He's a level 12 fire dragon effect monster with 4,500 attacks and 200. Perfect card for that spell card that allows you to add like fire monster. But this one has a requirements. Like this one has a summoning cost, basically. If you have any number of spells cards from your graveyard or battle zone, shuffle them into the deck. Special summon this card from anywhere to your field in attack mode, but it gains 500 attack and defense for each spell card thirds from your deck by this effect for once per turns. If this card is special summoned, you can select one card from your deck or graveyard or battle zone, add it to your hand. If you do, skip your opponent's battle phase until 2 turns are up. And if this card inflicts battle damage, you can basically pay 100 life points to make this card attack again. And if it does, then your opponent must discard 2 cards from the top of your deck, or top of their deck, to your graveyard. And then, plus, it's indestructible. So once it's summoned onto a field, it's it. That's it. There is no bloody way to destroy it. Basically, it cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and it can't, or is unaffected by card effects. And you take no damage from battles evolving it. So, basically, this card can not be beaten over so easily. Yeah. So now the third and final one of the 3 before we go back into the other ones. This card is called Forge of the Dark Blades. He's a creator of the art of the blades. He's archetype. He basically allows him to. So if this card is normal summon or special summon, you can select one Dark Blade spell card from anywhere and add it to your hand. If you do, inflict 2,000 points of damage to your opponent's life points. If this card inflicts damage to your opponent's life points, you can discard one spell card from anywhere to your graveyard. Makes this card attack again and again. This card is in your graveyard. You can shuffle this card into the deck and add one spell or trap card from anywhere to your hand. So this card is pretty broken, but it kind of, it's like saying, here, I'll give you a katana, because I made it. Sorry about that. Yeah. So yeah. So basically the Zuko, oh, or basically this card is saying, here, have a katana, huh? Huh? In exchange, if I attack, or so now I inflict damage to the next person that's in line. Whack! Yeah. So then, if this card inflicts damage, you basically, he's saying, oh, let me get rid of the broken sword for you. Broken bamboo sword for you. Now I'm going to attack again. Well, bam! Yeah. And that is really helpful for the number 2 card, the one I showed you. Because once you discard all the spell cards and you have him in your hand, you can shuffle all of them back into the deck and special summon this card, and it will get powered up. Because the dragon of the, or dragon man of the dark blade, he's actually the, think about soul. Like his soul is in the dark blade itself. So, yeah. So now let's get back into the archetypes things. So, most of the cards that needed dark blades needs. So this one, this spell card is called Curse Blade of Darkness. It basically drains the entire archetype's life force thing to bring out, or to like make you draw 2 new cards. Yeah. So like if this card is equipped to a Darkness Blade monster, it gains like attack, but at the same time, once per turns during either player's end phase, the equipped monster loses 1,000 attack. Hack points and defense. If its attack points resolves to 0, destroy this card. Then draw 2 cards from the top of your deck to your hand. So it's basically sucking the life force out of the monsters to making it have way more balance. So like shuffle this card into the deck, special summon 1 monster. So normally you can special summon her and then use its effect again. It cannot declare an attack, so it's basically like if like you summon that monster, then you can add cards to your hand, but it cannot attack. So then, then the number 2 is a Warrior Soul. Activate, select 1 darkness monster from your graveyard or battlefield or deck to your hand, to your field in attack mode, but it can attack your opponent's life points directly. If this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle this card into the deck. you gain 4,000 life points. This card's effects cannot be negated by card effects. So that's crazy. You can special summon a monster. It's basically like Monster Reborn, but better though. And like you can special summon like her or I'm trying to. So if this card, or like if this card attacks, or like this one, you can make yourself draw one card. So yeah. So now I forgot about their fusion monster, Brave Warriors. Yeah. There's a little bit of a story behind it, but I'm not going to go into it until I get done with the archetype. So, yeah. So this card must be fusion summoned. If this card was special summoned, you can select one card effect from your deck, send it to the graveyard. This card gains that selected card's effects until the end of your opponent's next turn. And if this card inflicts damage to your opponent's life points, your opponent must discard one card from the top of their deck to the graveyard. Makes this card attack again. This card's unaffected by card effects and cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. This card's effects cannot be negated by card effects and cannot be chained by card effects. You take no battle damage. Yeah. So basically, if you use the chain energy, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, yeah. If you use like cards like this one, that allows you to basically pay 500 life points one to the grave. Or there's another card, that was, if you had like this card, basically you can randomly select two zones until like your opponent's next turn. So basically, if you had two of these and you used like those two spell cards, they are treated as, or their effects are treated as those. So then now the spell card Stormblade is basically, or during either player's turn, you can pay 100 life points to shuffle all cards from the field except Darkblade cards into the owner's decks. If you do, skip your opponent's battle phase. If this card is in your graveyard, you can show this card. Yeah. So basically, yeah. So then we already went over what the Master's Daughter does, and then now Disappointment. This card basically allows you to negate the card effects and shuffles it into the owner's deck. So it's basically like if your opponent tried to use like something to negate one of your other cards. You just chain this card to it. And now the ultimate underdog. This card is pretty broken in, like, if your opponent declares an attack, like your opponent or if you had no monsters, you can activate one, or you can activate this card, and your opponent tried to use Solemn Judgment on you on this card. You activate this card to special summon a monster in attack mode, and yeah, basically you win the duel. Like if you use this and then yeah. So then this one allows you to add a card to your hand. Then negate that attack and end their turn. If this card is in your graveyard or banner zone, you can shuffle this card into the deck. Draw 3 cards from W deck. This one, and basically inflicts damage. This one allows you to draw 3 cards. So then, yeah. So then so this is a whole archetype that's been, to me, feels like it's kind of balanced. I don't know. What would be your opinion? Do you like this video? Do hashtag underdogs. Hogs Blade. If you're disappointed, just write hashtag disappointment. And so, yeah. The 3 new ones, these 3 are pretty broken by themselves. Like, you can select 4 cards, so basically you can use one of these and one of the Stormbreakers, and then the necklaces, the black pearl necklace, and you use this card, earn like the 2 of these cards. So basically, once you have all 4 of them goes to the graveyard, you can basically activate their effects. So like this one, and basically draw 2 cards. This one, if this card is in your graveyard, you can, So then, so it would be on top of it. So it would be 35. You're basically using the sword to literally, like, damage your opponent. That's a whole archetype's theme is. You're basically like saying, hey, let's duel. Boom. I win. So, yeah. This is not broken archetype. This is the, like, yeah. So, there's a story behind it. So, you want to hear it? Sure. So, the master's daughter, or actually the female master, sent some 3 brave warriors to try to kill the dragon, but they failed on their mission. And then she heard the 3 people were dead. So she was disappointed. And numb. So they, so they're, so her daughter decides to learn how. So she went from being the student, or she went from the daughter thing, a kid, to learn how to, wield the blade. And then, as time progressed, she became a master girl, just like her mother. Because her mother treated her not like garbage, but yeah. So then she was ready to fight because she battled against, or she can use the 4 sword style at will, and she met this bird. His name is Forge, and he crafted her 2 blades. One was cursed. Only the strongest person can wield it. And the other was a storm blade. So then, yeah. So then she had a warrior soul that overrided the cursed sword urn, giving the strong enough will. Then she met this young man. He was a very strong opponent. So he decides to train her how to use the little bit more training on the sword style. So he decides to train her to defeat all the monsters in one swing, because that's how he grew up with. He learned many styles, and he was actually the only person from the Braves, warriors ones, that actually made it out alive. So then she became known as the person that is ready to fight. So she ends up battling against this dragon, and she won against him. So the dragon actually had feelings for her. But he knew that she's a human and he's a dragon, and but he could tell there's a cursed blade. So then the dragon decided, all right, I lost to her, so fair and square. So before she left, the dragon decided to pick her up, and he wanted to tell her, because he actually was spying on her for a really long time without her even knowing it. So he was finally prepared to say it. He says that I know that I know that you got very strong because those brave warriors was part of your clan. But now I realize, after watching what you did, I decided to do something. As she's thinking to herself, "Oh, please don't kill me." As that's in her head. But when he said, "They close your eyes," as she closes them, and when she opened her eyes, or she felt this warm feeling. As she opens her eyes and she sees the dragon kissing her right on the lips. As she was so embarrassed. Because this is the same dragon that killed those men and ruined her life. And so he confessed it, or actually she could tell that he confessed her or his feelings to her. As she walks, or he thought she was gonna walk away and but instead she grabs him by the neck, with both arms, and she knew that she wants to date him. So she basically says that. And she says, "I accept you as who you are." So then, what does he... So, he was surprised too. So then they got married. And had dragon children. Basically, how will I put this? Dragon newts. From that time I got reincarnated slime season 2. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. The human that has witnessed the dragon man and his bloodthirsty rage, and plus he always wanted was to be with a girl that doesn't see him as a monster. So she decides, and if you guys want me to do a custom card of a female version of the Master's daughter, as a dolled married one, please let me know in the comments below, and have a good night or day, depends on the time zones. Peace.